I'm from Lithuania, from the studio Redbee. My name is Eduardas Funka. We're a small team of 3 developers. Yeah, you can see us. And we did quite a few games for Carlsberg Group, for Didas, and for Telesonera. And 1 year ago, we decided it's time for us to build our own game. And meet my inspiration. That's my son. He's 6 years old, game tester. He really loves games. But there is a disconnect in the market where you have like very, very nice tap-tap ABC apps. They're really nice, but not that challenging for this age group. And on the other hand, you have like those games that are based on outdated moral values, such as traditional fairy tales. In traditional fairy tales, what you have a violent prince that mass murders his way through the crowds, slays a dragon, brings his head home, just to get a reward from another human being, usually nice and hot princess. Yeah, so it's sexism, it's violence, and it's bad for children. So we decided we're gonna make a different kind of game, and it's lagging. It's called Tiny Explorers. We prefer collaboration over competitiveness in our game, and it's totally fun. It's with 3 children who are having fun in a beautiful environment. I'll invite you to watch our trailer.
This is a story about a little town, famous all over the district for children's dreams and nightmares. This story is also about 3 brave kids whose lives seem as ordinary as of their peers in the neighborhood. But just as their parents shut the door and leave, strange things start to happen in their cozy back garden.
Yeah, so we have a big world.
I need to run!
We have missions where you have to run from the enemies, from the cute enemies, and solve different puzzles. And of course, engaging story for children.
Hello, children.
Okay, so we made our game English first, but we have script for German, Russian, and French. And we build our game as a unit. It's very easy to implement another language. So it would take up to 2 weeks to implement another language. And we prepared for quite a lot of platforms because we really liked Unity and really liked exploring technology. So iOS, Android, Windows Phone, almost ready, BlackBerry, and PC. And we did a Ninja mode release, and we find out that we have quite a good conversions and quite a good feedback from the customers. Our business model that we give 3 levels for free, then we ask with an ad purchase to unlock the rest of the game. And in US we have 5.6 conversion rate, and in Canada 12% conversion rate. iOS 4.8 stars, Google 4 stars. And we're here because we need help to acquire more users, and so we're looking for a publisher and basically a platform for children and parents. And also we're a small company, so we'd like to make friends with all of you and to help us to get our way in the gaming industry. Okay, that's me, Eduardas. You can approach me later and we can talk about it more.
All right, thank you, Eduardo. Let's start with Felix. Do you have a question?
Just going to ask it right away. So I see that you're targeting PC and Windows Phone, and as the Microsoft guy, I have to ask, why not thinking about Xbox and Windows, those other 2 way bigger platforms?
We just applied for Xbox license, think yesterday I got an email that they like reviewing us, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so we should probably talk. But yeah, no, I think it's no feedback, right? No feedback. Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
let's
wait
do
with the feedback for later.
Rob, do you have a question?
Beyond user acquisition, what do you see as the other biggest hurdle in the kids space? What is the biggest difficulty that you have with distributing a game in the kids space?
Right now, when we talk in the industry, nobody like works with kids, so we'd like to talk more with like publishers who like works with kids. But right now, most of them work with the older folks, and they cross promote the games in this area, so it's a bit harder to go. But on the other hand, it's an opportunity because there is no such a strong players in that field. Even like from 6 to 8. We have lots of like nice tap ABC that's very basic, but not this kind of.
You mentioned you have 3 testable or demoable levels, and then you have to pay for an unlock. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Why did you pick that model over completely free or premium to start?
Okay. We are just 3 guys. We thought we could go like free to play, but when we go deep into it, it's basically a science, and we see that lots of big companies like fail in that field. So we need to gather a bit more muscle before we go into free to play.
Yeah, so I guess this question is kind of the reverse of my earlier question. I like the fact that you guys are going multi-platform. However, my experience in gaming is that, to be successful, especially kind of the long tail and build retention, you have to, rather continuously update the game and keep the content fresh. And I'm just concerned about what is going to be your strategy in terms of, updating and keeping the content fresh and doing that equally across so many platforms. How are you going to manage it?
Yeah, that's gonna be tough, but we'll try our best. It was tough, like to start even to build our own game without funding, without anything. Build our own everything. So I think we'll manage. And we did for lots of platforms because we really love technology and exploring those. So it's like fun for us.
Have you guys given any thought to what your marketing strategy is going to be, and what channels you're using, or any partners? And as a follow-on to that, I think you may be the first game soundtrack I've ever heard with an accordion in it. So, maybe there's an accordion maker in Lithuania who would want to sponsor. I don't know, but seriously, what have you guys done to think about how are you going to get visibility?
Yeah, right now it's like we're also like developers, and we came like from the development field. That's why our strategy is to go for the publisher that could help us in the marketing field and give us experience and gather that experience first from the publisher. It's our first game that we made, so I think it's smarter for us like to concentrate on our strengths like platforms and gameplay and make fun instead of going for the marketing with the first title.
All right, thank you. Some feedback? I know you're sitting on something, Felix. Let's have it.
I have. Where's the mic go to? Thank you.
Yeah, we should share one in the middle.
Yeah, I think that was a really, really strong presentation. I'm slightly impressed. I think your strategy targeting players in that age range makes a lot of sense. I think it's got to be seen how successful that can be, because I've seen people targeting the market for quite some time now. I'm not sure if it's going to succeed, mostly because I've seen so many people fail. But I think certainly the game looks adorable. The graphics seem to be very powerful. I, for one, I'm a huge fan of Unity. I know that going to so many platforms can probably be achieved. So from my point of view, I think this was a very strong presentation, and it seems to be a very, very strong game, especially if you go into the area of providing multiple languages, because it seems like, especially in the United States, few people actually think about the possibility of including, even French. It's a very rich country, but few people think about providing a game in French. So I think I've seen a lot of very smart decisions on stage now.
Thank you. Bob?
I think that the segment that you're targeting is massively underserved today, so I think it's a very good target for you. One thing to think about is just how to approach different platforms and user behavior on those platforms. So as we see devices becoming more of a kid's toy, where parents pass it back to the kid, target that specific use case. So it's usually a tablet or a phablet or something of that nature.
Great presentation. Your answer was actually the right one. Spent time with a lot of companies targeting children, and all the companies trying to target free-to-play with kids. Frankly, there's a gap between the parent who has the wallet, the kid who wants to make that decision. It's too large a gap. So a premium priced product is the right way to go with kids. One thing to consider to get differentiated there, if there's some way, in the same way that you can add different languages, if there's a way to reskin the game, if there's a way to license a brand or two that's recognizable to kids to set yourself apart, to beat the challenge of customer acquisition out here in the world today, there's just a lot of noise out there. That might be a relevant way to go.
Thank you. Patrick?
Yeah, I'd echo everything that my fellow panelists have said. I think it was one of the best presentations I've seen from a gaming studio in a long time, to be honest. And given how new you guys are at it, I think you deserve a lot of credit. I guess one thing I would really think about, particularly when you think about Android, is that the center of the universe in terms of monetization and user bases is shifting significantly the last 18 months. And although I applaud your effort to be cross-platform and I applaud the multilingual strategy, which I think is smart, and yes, absolutely agree that there is an incredible number of developers, particularly in the Bay Area, who do not understand that there is a world outside the United States. It shocks me, to be honest. The one thing I would say, though, is you may want to consider some of your language challenges, some of your language strategies, because really the center of the universe in terms of monetization, at least, and where a lot of the users are, is Asia. And I didn't see a single Asian language there, right? And the potential in a market like China and Japan or Korea is massive, right? Korea today is the same in terms of monetization for Google Play that the United States, and Japan is 2x the size of the US market in terms of revenues. So, you might want to rethink that. I get that you guys are European and that your focus is on countries nearby, and that does make sense, but for the future, give it some thought.
Great, thank you. Art?
It's tough to be the last guy after four really smart guys. It's like, I'm trying to come up with something original, but I do have one
Start
thing
with
original.
you next.
Okay, we're going to start with the soundtrack, all right? I want to bring in some cowbell. No, but seriously, I agree with what these guys say. There's one company that you might want to check out, kind of to Michael's point, that's done a good job of walking the line between really attractive licensed IP and original IP. They're called Ocean House Media down in Southern California. They've done a really good job with the deal with Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss is a brand that's well known, so that's carried a lot of their revenue. They're doing original IP. I agree that having the ability to reskin for a brand could be really good. Not going to quibble with Patrick on Asia, though. My experience is I think Brazil is totally underserved. If I were going to do another language, I'd do Portuguese. Android is on a vertical growth curve down there. There's a lot of money down there, and half the country are kids. So that's. But I agree. Great presentation, well thought out, well balanced. Look at the gameplay. Actually, looking at the video kind of remind me of Super Mario or something like that with a helium balloon on the character. So I don't know if there was a gravity problem there with the character, but just looking at that, it didn't really feel that realistic in what the character was doing. So I had a little question about that, but otherwise, really strong, excellent presentation.
Great, thank you so much. Great job.